Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel, and today in this video we'll continue our recaps of the 2022 August Open Tournament. This was my round 3 game. Online rating at the time again is 2103. I'm playing white, and let's take a look what happened in this game. So at this point in the tournament, I am 1.5 out of 2. And this game, if I win it, I'll be on 2.5 out of 3, and on a really good score and really good pace. So here my opponent has just played the move bishop to d6. After bishop to d6, I find the very nice move, bishop to e5. I don't actually end up taking the bishop, I play bishop to e5. Bishop to e5 is a very nice move because I'm threatening a lot of things here actually. For example, I'm threatening bishop takes f6, followed by bishop to e4 check. Sorry, not check. Bishop to e4 to x-ray this bishop here on b7. There's no way to actually defend it. Queen to b7, for example, then I can simply take the queen, and then afterwards I can take the bishop. So that's the current threat, the biggest threat in the position. Besides, if you take this bishop, then after pawn takes, you'll see that this knight is attacked. If the knight moves, then I have bishop to h7 check, picking up the queen. So lots of threats here, a lot of good pressure here for me. Here, my opponent actually goes wrong a little bit by playing the move rook to c7 here. Rook c7 to defend this bishop, so that when bishop e4 comes, this bishop would actually be defended after a move like queen to b5. However, here, instead of the move bishop to e4, sorry, I have the move bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6 is actually a really strong move here. After g takes f6, you'll see that white's king side structure, the pawn structure on the king side, is really battered. I have an open file towards the king, and there's ways to exert pressure here. So I continue with the best option, which is queen to e3, attack this h6 point, and maybe get into h7. Here, my opponent plays king to g7 to defend this pawn here, these two pawns, to try to consolidate, play rook h8, get the king out, run towards the queen side. However, here, I don't allow my opponent to do that with a couple of quick tempo-making moves. Bishop to e4 to start off, attacking the queen, and maybe some pressure on the b7 bishop. After queen to b5, sliding out of the way. Here I find this really nice move. So here, obviously, my biggest asset here is I want to play knight to h5 check. Knight h5 check because that forces the king back, then I have queen takes h6 with mate impending. So here I can't play knight h5 check because there's queen takes h5. So I find this really nice move d5. Sacrificing a pawn, but I can block up the possibility of the queen taking the knight, and I can play knight h5 check. Here my opponent takes the knight, and then I find this other really nice move, knight to d4, counterattacking the queen so that when I take back here, the king is actually forced back, and then this rook is also hanging here. So my opponent takes on f2, getting a pawn for his troubles. I play king takes f2. Still attacking the queen. My opponent plays queen c5. Here I play queen g3 check, forcing the king back, and I find this really nice combination of moves. Rook a to c1, starting off with. You'll notice that after queen g3, there's pressure on the c7 point, so the queen can't actually move because I simply take. So here my opponent takes, and then takes, and then here I play queen f4. This is the whole point of driving the king back. So this h6 point is undefended. Now you'll see we have a fork here. If you move your rook, then black gets checkmated in 2. Queen takes h6, queen h7. For example, let's say rook c8 takes and mate. This is checkmate. So my opponent can't actually move the rook. Highest priority is to defend h6. My opponent plays f5. After queen takes h6, there's no longer any queen h7 ideas. But here I play queen takes h6 anyways, getting a pawn firstly. And worst case scenario, I can come back and take the rook. But here, after king to g8, I play knight takes f5, sacrificing another piece. But the thing is, mate is pretty much impending. Queen g7 is threatened, so after pawn takes, you realize after bishop takes, there's no way to stop mate pretty much. My opponent does find the only way to stop or prolong mate pretty much. But after bishop takes f5, the threat is if you move your rook, let's say rook to e8, then I have bishop h7 check. King can't escape, king goes to h8, then after bishop to g6, king only legal move, queen h7, king f8, and queen takes f7 is checkmate. If my opponent doesn't move the rook, then you'll see that if I don't play bishop h7, So right here, if my opponent doesn't move the rook, then queen h7 is made immediately. So here my opponent prolongs mate with rook c2 check. Bishop takes c2 and f5 to block up the bishop. However, after queen to g6, king h8, and bishop takes f5, queen h7 checkmate is impossible to stop except for sacrificing a rook. After rook takes f5 and queen takes f5, I have a queen for two minor pieces. These two minor pieces are not active at all. One of them is on their own square, the other one is completely blocked in. I have d6, d7, d8. I'm going to make another queen, and this is completely winning. So in general, this actually came out of a Slav defense, and that's actually kind of funny. Slav is known for being very, very boring, and I managed to create a very nice attack out of it, something really exciting. So quite the contrast there from the opening expectation to the end result. And in general, I'm really happy with this game. So hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching.